So here's the problem. Years ago, life insurance professionals would receive in-depth sales training, not only showing different life insurance products and how they work, but the advanced planning concepts that bring in the 5, 6, and 7-figure commission checks. Fast forward to today, and those types of training programs are almost non-existent. To solve the problem of inefficient marketing efforts and advisors stumbling around trying to understand how to do business in the advanced markets, Trained Advisor leads the way in showing top-level producers how to acquire, identify, present, and close advanced life insurance cases. Welcome to the weekly 10-minute concept training with Trained Advisor.
Hello and welcome to our call this week. I'm Rick Bailey and I appreciate everybody getting on. As we're approaching the year end, I really was thinking about charitable planning. I've had several opportunities to meet with potential clients and existing clients to talk about their charitable planning and especially charitable remainder trust. One of the things that is nice in the charitable planning arena is there's a lot of opportunities for our clients. They can give direct gifts to charities. They can set up private foundations. They can also do charitable remainder trust. All of this planning can be a win-win opportunity for both our clients and for the charities that they want to benefit. But today I really want to focus on the charitable remainder trust and the opportunities that we have there. If you look at charitable remainder trust, this is really a unique client. This is a client that it helps if they're charitably inclined, but if they're really just maybe not, charitably inclined, but they want to save taxes, it can still be a great opportunity. But it's a client that has appreciated property that is going to be sold. These are assets that really are not heirloom kind of assets in their estate, but they're assets that are really going to be sold and moved on to other types of property. And if you think about a lot of clients, they get into buying and selling rentals, and over time that works great for them. It creates a lot of opportunity to build some wealth, create some tax deductions, but at some point they get tired of fixing the toilets and want to move towards a retirement kind of situation. So this is the client that we're looking at. And finally, they want to protect the legacy to their heirs. They don't want to cut them out, even though they want to save taxes and help the charity. So if you start picturing that client in your mind, that'll help as we go through. This is similar to a case that I worked on earlier this year. Husband and wife, 75 years old, definitely they were charitably inclined. They had $1 million apartment building that they were ready to sell and just get to the point where they're ready to relax a little bit more in their retirement years. They're definitely had a goal to reduce the taxes, but they wanted to provide their heirs with their legacy. So if you look at how we start into the charitable remainder trust, the first thing we have to do is look at what would happen if we just sold the property. So if it's an outright sell and we're going to just walk away, what would that look like? And that we need to do this because it's going to come back into some calculations we look at in a little bit. But in this case, if they sold the property, sell price of $1 million, their basis after all the years of depreciation was $100,000. So their net gain would be $900,000. And when we looked at that, that would create depreciation recapture of $250,000. Now, depreciation recapture, for those of you that don't know, after you've depreciated an asset over those years, you have to come back and pick up that depreciation that was taken. So if there's at least $250,000 of gain in the sale of this property, that first $250,000 now as depreciation recapture is treated as ordinary income, not capital gains. And so for this client, they were in a high tax state, so that was going to be an issue. After the $250,000 of recapture, they had $650,000 of capital gains and then a return of their basis of $100,000. And so we'll come back and see how that applies here in just a minute. But if you look at a charitable remainder trust, you have to understand the mechanics of the trust. First of all, we start with our client. They are going to set up an charitable remainder trust. They're going to dictate the terms of the trust, who gets to benefit from this trust, what charity they're going to name. They can have that charity either be revocable or irrevocable, depending on what they want to do. But if we start looking at this, they first have to set up the trust and then transfer that asset, and in this case, the apartment, into the charitable trust. That has to happen before they start trying to sell the trust or sell the apartment. Once they have a sales agreement in place, we can't move that apartment into the charitable trust. One other thing to remember, that asset cannot have debt when it's moved over to the charitable trust. Once we have that asset, the apartment building, in the charitable trust, the trust now, since it's a charitable entity, can sell that apartment building tax-free and then reinvest the proceeds inside the trust. So in this case, we sold it for $1 million. Now the trustees are going to invest that $1 million into other type of liquid assets. Like I said, the charity can be revocable or irrevocable. We've named the charity, but at this point in time, the charity's just sitting out there. We've notified them that they may be receiving a gift in the future, but at this point, they're not going to receive anything. What's going to happen is, on the transfer of the apartment building into the trust, our client's going to receive a charitable deduction. That charitable deduction is going to be based off of the value of the property put into the trust, reduced by the annuity stream percentage that's going to come back to our client, and I'll come back to that, and based off of the number of years the trust will be holding the property and paying that annuity stream before the charity can receive the proceeds from the trust. So let's back up to this annuity stream. Our clients have now moved that $1 million asset into the trust. They're now going to receive an annuity payment from the trust back to them. Now that annuity payment can be, a percentage from, 2% to 90%. The higher the annuity payment, the lower the amount of the charitable deduction that they're going to get, because they're receiving more of that property back to them, which means that's less money that can eventually go to the charity. They're also going to set up how long this trust will stay in existence. So it can be for a number of years, say 10, 20, 30 years, or for the life of one of the spouses, or for the life of joint spouses. There again, the longer the annuity payment lasts, the lower the charitable deduction. And so you just have to play this out. What's going to be more important, receiving the money back or getting a bigger charitable deduction? And we just work through those until we figure out what's best for the client. With that annuity stream that comes back, the client is going to have to pay tax on that. This is where we go back to the formula when we were working on what the sale would look like first. Remember, there was $250,000 of depreciation recapture. So the first $250,000 of annuity payment that comes back to our clients is going to come back, and they're going to pay ordinary income tax on it. The next $650,000 they receive would be capital gains, and anything above that would be non-taxable. So that's where that comes back into play. Now, if you look at this, what does this do for our client? Well, if we look at the first one, we have this set up for the husband's lifetime. They get an annuity payment of 5%, which would be $50,000 a year. They would receive a charitable deduction of $492,000. If they set this up for 15 years, then that would be $343,000. And so you just have to look and see what works the best, for this particular client. Now, if you look at the charitable annuity payment that's coming back to our client, they're going to receive that money. Now that money's in their checkbook. What can they do with it? Well, one, they can pay life insurance premiums to create a legacy back to their heirs. Remember, they removed $1 million from their estate. Now they can pay that into a life insurance premium for, to replace it for their heirs. They can keep and spend the remain and, use that for their living expenses, or they can give it away. They get to each year decide how they want to use that money because it's theirs to use. With the legacy replacement, with there again, the win-win-win of charitable remainder trust planning is the charity's going to get a benefit of something. We don't know what they're actually going to receive, but whatever's left at the end of the trust term, they get. Our client's going to get an annuity payment back to help their, with their lifetime expenses. They're also going to receive a significant charitable deduction. But if they want to replace that legacy to their heirs, they can use the life insurance policy to do that, use part of the premiums and the tax deduction to fund that. The nice thing for the heirs is they're going to receive a benefit tax-free. They don't have to worry about selling this apartment building after mom and dad pass away. But it really protects the heirs and the benefit that the mom and dad want to pass on. So it's a good opportunity to really help our clients with their total charitable planning and tax planning, at the same time making sure that it's win-win-win for all the parties involved. So if you have questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. I appreciate everybody getting on today, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you.